Why punishment is ineffective classroom management. Are punishment and rewards two sides of the same coin? When I was in primary school, it was common for kids to get the strap if they didn't do the right thing. And that could be something as simple as not answering the bell immediately or talking in lines. And I distinctly remember a boy called Roy, who sat next to me in Year 3, coming back from getting the strap from the principal. I can still see the tears in his eyes, his humiliation at crying in front of other kids, and the unfairness of being hit repeatedly by an adult. He was the kind of kid who was always in trouble getting the strap. And though he could be pretty annoying, in that moment I felt really sorry for him, and I knew that being hit would not help change his behaviour. Even though I was only 8 years old, I could tell he was a wiggly kid. He could hardly sit still, and he found a lot of the work really difficult. The belief at that time was that children had to be physically punished so that they would learn to behave correctly. Spare the rod and spoil the child. This is part of a series of videos about what rewards, reinforcement and incentives are and how to use them effectively in your classroom. In this video, you'll learn why punishment or negative consequences don't work. And by work, I mean change student behaviour. I don't advocate doing nothing about inappropriate student behaviour, quite the opposite. But while punishment is driven by the need for revenge, being strategic and responsive with a more holistic approach to teaching students will achieve much more effective and longer-lasting results. I'm Maria Amaro. I'm a teacher, presenter and author, and I've been working with students and teachers for over 30 years. I'm passionate about helping teachers improve teaching and learning practices. I combine research and experience to provide strategies that improve student learning by improving classroom management. I focus on the practices that take little or no extra teacher time, strategies that can actually give you back time by helping you to learn to work more effectively. I love coaching teachers, and I emphasise teacher wellbeing because improved teacher wellbeing means improved student wellbeing, and that contributes to better academic and social outcomes for all students. If you'd like to learn more, please subscribe to our channel and ring the bell. We put out 2 videos every week, so make sure you don't miss any of our content. And if you know anyone who you think would benefit from this information, please share it with colleagues, friends and family. Everyone knows a teacher or someone who works in a school. And if you have any questions or topics you'd like me to cover, please let us know in the comment section below. I'd love to hear from you. In the past, schools punished students for infractions of the rules, which often involved using the cane, the strap, public humiliation and shaming. And while we have moved away from these draconian behaviour modification strategies in our schools, some of the approaches we call consequences are still punitive in nature. It's just like Shakespeare's rose with another name, only not smelling as sweet. For many schools, consequences are still punishments in disguise. As part of a punitive society, we still believe that young people need to learn right from wrong by experiencing an unpleasant consequence that's imposed from above. That is, a punishment. Punishment literally means to inflict a penalty as retribution for an offence. While consequences in schools are still imposed and designed to make the offender suffer in some way, that is, miss out on something they enjoy or be excluded from school, then despite the name change, they are still punishments. This also includes removal of a student from a classroom or playground, in and out of school suspension, detention and restitutional activities that can make the school safer for other students, but do little to improve a student's social skills or teach them how to behave appropriately. And studies have shown that the predominant teacher response to disruptive student behaviour is reactive and punitive rather than proactive and positive. And the reactive approach does little to decrease student inappropriate behaviour. Here are 5 reasons why punishment doesn't work. Number 1, Punitive responses and zero tolerance policies work by repressing inappropriate behaviour in most of the school population, but they foster resentment and increase violence, aggression and truancy in the students that are marginalised. An Australian study found that students were 4.5 times more likely to engage in criminal activity when they were suspended compared to when they were truanting. Number 2, punishment does not teach alternative behaviour or give a student practice at using more appropriate behaviour. When a student lacks skills in reading, maths or science, our response is not to punish them, but to provide additional support so that they can achieve. Students who struggle to behave appropriately then need prompts and scaffolds to learn how to relate to others and how to function productively in the school and later their work environment. Number 3, punishment undermines relationships. When we use punishment or punitive consequences, we risk losing the trust and connection that we've built with a student. These students often have a history of fragile relationships with others and so do not trust easily. As Bill Rogers says about consequences, it's about the certainty rather than severity. If you'd like to learn more about how to build relationships and maintain relationships with students, check out our videos on why relationships are important and how you can use your positive body language in all your interactions with students. Number 4, punishment does not address the learning needs of the student. 80% of students with disruptive behaviour are lacking academic skills. And what are the contributing factors in the environment that inhibit students' learning and ability to behave appropriately? Is the student failing school, or is the school failing the student? If you'd like to learn more about how to engage students in the learning and some effective differentiation strategies, check out our videos on both these contents. Number 5. This is a depressing kind of statistic, but jails are full of people who do not respond to the threat of incarceration. So why do we think that loss of recess or suspension will change a student's behaviour? That approach is effective for 80 to 85% of our population. The other 20% need a different approach. And to be effective in helping our students learn to behave appropriately and to be successful at school, we need to employ these strategies. We need to have explicit teaching of expected behaviours with plenty of opportunities for students to practice those behaviours in a variety of settings. Next, we need to support the student to exhibit the behaviours by providing prompts such as pre-corrects and reducing the triggers that might encourage that behaviour. Next, we need to reinforce the positive behaviour through feedback and reward systems. Next, we need to have calm, well-considered responses to the student's inappropriate behaviour. Alfie Kohn, in Punished by Rewards, asserts that rewards and punishments are not that different, but simply opposite ends of the same coin. And he says that both seek to manipulate and control the behaviours of others, either by promising a pleasant outcome or threatening a negative consequence. While I agree with this idealistic view of education and promote developing respectful responses to children's behaviour, his insistence on throwing out reward systems has meant that schools have continued to punish students. As John Magg states in his article that I have referred to a number of times, Rewarded by Punishment, positive and negative reinforcement occurs naturally in the classroom anyway. So it makes sense that we strategically and purposefully reinforce the behaviours that we want to see, rather than inadvertently reinforcing inappropriate behaviour. If you'd like to learn more about how to set up your classroom, check out our videos on how to create a safe, predictable, consistent learning environment for all your students. Thanks for watching. Stay safe and happy teaching.